Hello, everyone. My name is Gibby. Welcome to the Spooky Shack. I have a special guest here.
Hello, it's good evening. It's the unwithered tree.
The unwithered tree, all the way from Freddy Faz land.
Yes, exactly.
We're going to be talking about what the title of this video says, which is FNAF 2 movie bad. No spoilers. This video will not have spoilers in it. We will have a video up at some point in the near future with our full thoughts, full spoilers, walking through the whole movie. You, me, and T-Dreads talked for 5 hours after we saw the movie for the first time. That video will be up
sometime.
It's 5 hours. It's going to take a while.
Yeah.
So this is the non-spoiler thoughts. We just got back from seeing it for the second time.
Yeah.
So we had our whole discussion. We're like, I didn't like this scene. I did like this scene. I have a question about this. I don't quite remember the quote they said here. Yeah. So we watched the movie for the second time in an empty theater. So we were able to talk to each other as we went. And so sort of solidified our opinions from the first time. Mm-hmm. I would personally say, upon seeing other people's reactions to the movie, I don't understand the appeal. We'll go into a little bit why we didn't like it, again, without spoilers. Yeah. Would you agree that you don't understand the appeal?
Yes. And in a broad sense, I generally, whether it's with FNAF, whether it's with Star Wars, whether it's with Marvel, whether it's with whatever franchise thing that's an adaptation of something else, I love movies.
Yes.
And I love a lot of franchises that have a lot of movie adaptations. My thing is, I never understand when people are just satisfied to have a thing they know made into a movie, regardless of the quality of the movie. Mm-hmm. It's like, it gives me no pleasure, even though I love movies and I love the franchise, it gives me no pleasure to just say, I saw the thing I know, but it was in a cinema rather than on my phone or on a PlayStation or whatever. You know, there's no joy in seeing a movie version of something if it's not a good adaptation.
Yes.
Right?
I saw Toy Chica. She's real.
Yeah.
That has some level of, oh my God, that's cool.
It has the same appeal of like a cool cosplay.
Yes.
Right? Like, oh, cool visual depiction of that. Mm-hmm. That's not why I like FNAF.
That's not, and that's also not a film.
Yeah, that's not a movie. Yes. It's, I guess, I get it when people maybe they only like the designs or they like the FNAF because of the designs. So they go, oh, cool, they made a good version of the design. And this, I hate to sound snobby or anything like this, where I'm like, I actually like movies. I don't mean that.
You and I are film people.
Yeah.
I see almost every single movie that comes out, including foreign films you've never heard of. Yeah. Like, I watch movies, and so I come at it from that lens, and I think you're similar.
Yes, 100%. Yeah. I like FNAF or Star Wars or whatever, not because of the franchise elements. It's because I enjoy, usually it's the story that I like. And if it's not the story, and it's adapted into a storytelling format, then it's like, well, as long as that's good as well, I guess that's fine. But FNAF, my thing, we're theorists. We love the story. We love the lore. We love the whatever. It's not enough to just have stuff from the lore parroted in a movie by actors and then go, yay, they said the thing I know. Yes. That's my take. I don't get that appeal. I know that does appeal to a lot of people. And a lot of people go, yay, I saw insert character here. In the movie. That's crazy.
You and I can't be in a conversation without going, well, in Star Wars.
Well, in Star Wars,
but in The Mandalorian, we have a character from one of the books who appears on screen for the first time. It's the Marshal from the Aftermath trilogy who appears in an episode of The Mandalorian. And I went, a character who I never thought would appear on screen is in a TV show played by a real actor, Timothy Oliphant or whatever. And it's really cool seeing that depicted. He then went on to be a cool character who did cool things in the episode.
Yes, so that was cool. But if it hadn't been that way, my thing is I'd rather it not be adapted if it's adapted badly. I'd rather wait for it to be adapted well. So yeah, we're going to have to be careful with spoilers because I nearly said a thing there and I was like, oh, insert person here.
After almost 5 minutes of just saying movie bad, I think we need to justify that.
Sure, yeah.
Okay, number one, I don't think a lot of the bad aspects of the movie are entirely Scott's fault. And I do not want to criticize Scott as a person or even a writer. I love Secret of the Mimic. Scott's the only credited writer for Secret of the Mimic. He can write a story. Yeah. Period. He can.
He created the thing through which we have become creators online. Like he created a big aspect of my childhood. He created a big part of what my career is now. I have all the love in the world for Scott. And the only reason I would want to come on here or come on my own channel or wherever and criticize the movie is not to be like, if you liked it, you're an idiot, or you're not as good of a film critic as me, or to say, Scott doesn't know what he's doing, I should be writing it, or anything like that. It's purely because I want it so that if Scott sees this, or if somebody working on the film sees this, that, or even if you're watching it, and even if you liked it, that you can be aware that like there is more from the well, there's more to be drawn from this franchise to make something really good. Because I know there is a really, really good FNAF movie out there in the ether that has yet to be drawn to earth.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
And it's fun that we have elements of that existing in this and in the last movie. But I'm waiting for that movie that I can say is a good movie first, and then be like, isn't it so cool that Toy Chica's in it, or whatever.
Yeah.
You know?
I hesitate. Like, obviously, there are genres of films that I don't like. I don't really like dark comedy slashers. There's a movie that came out a couple years ago called Cocaine Bear. I'm like, this is the stupidest thing I've ever seen. I don't like when the movie monster doesn't have a motivation. I don't like when you see innocent characters die brutally. And it's like, oh, isn't it so cool? His head fell off. I'm like, well, no. Like, I don't like watching a person get hurt. So I understand that there are genres I don't like. I can still say they did the thing they were intending to do for the people who enjoyed this thing.
Yeah.
For this movie, I don't dislike the genre. I don't dislike what it was going for. I don't think it did the thing that it was intending to do. I think from a more zoomed out objective perspective, it did not do the thing that was promised on the label.
A lot of people, and I know this is probably the reaction to what you just said that people will have, is...
People will disagree. People will say, no, it's exactly what I wanted. I'm like...
Yes. People keep defending the movie, and I've seen this again with Star Wars and other franchise things. They will say it's for the fans, and that's been a huge part of the marketing for this movie. So I know that it's not like we're not just pulling this out of other people's
Mathew Lillard, Emmy Tammy, whatever.
Yeah, everyone has said this, right? Making a thing for fans, I think, in the modern era, has boiled down to being a reference fest of, as long as you have stuff from the source material on screen, visually accurate in some way, shape, or form, or you say a line from something,
I always come back.
Or another one that's in this movie, no spoilers, there's like a particular line, that's a one-to-one from the games, and it's like, that's what people mean when they say it's for the fans. It's for you to sit in the cinema and go, that's the thing I know. I know that bit from the games, or I know that bit from the thing I like. That, again, to me, that there's no appeal to that for me. I want it to be good first, and then you fill it with references. And it's not one or the other. They're not mutually exclusive. So people, when you say it's for the fans, you're inherently assuming that it has to be bad. Someone even tweeted as much. I think it was at T-Dreads put out a tweet, and somebody replied and said, Scott doesn't care if it's bad. It's for the fans. And I'm like, why would it have to be a bad movie if it has to be for the fans?
Yes. You specifically criticized this when we watched the first movie on stream.
Yes.
You did not like the line, I always come back, in the first movie.
Yes.
Because in the context in which it was said, it made absolutely no sense.
Yeah.
William had not been shown to come back at all. What do you mean, I always come back?
He never died.
He's putting his helmet on to kill himself because maybe the spring lock wouldn't do it, so he's also spring locking his face.
Yeah.
Because he knows he's going to come back, so I always come back. Who is that line for? It's because we recognize it from the game. It's the clap line.
Yeah.
If that line was not in the movie would have been better.
Yeah. Yeah.
That line made the movie worse.
Yeah. It's strange in the context it's presented in.
Yes.
That happens in this movie. Yes. The one that I was referencing, the specific line, makes more sense, I think, actually in the context of this movie than it does in the game it's in. But there's a particular section of the movie, you might know what I'm referencing, which is very much a for the fans thing, which is like, if you're a fan, you go, oh, it's like the thing from the game. And there's a whole dialogue interaction and like joke, which only makes sense if the characters in the movie were aware of what had happened in the games and not in the previous movie. Obviously,
it's like someone made a YouTube video in 2015, like a Smosh or a whatever, saying, we're going to make a 7-minute skit making fun of, hey, isn't it quirky if you take a video game and then you treat it literally and put it in the real world?
You're like Smiling Friends, where everyone's speaking in realistic dialogue.
Yes, and you're like, wouldn't it be silly if who would do this way?
Yeah.
Let's use FNAF 1 as an example, so we don't even unintentionally spoil something. You're like, who would program the door so they draw power when they're closed instead of drawing power when they're open? Waka waka.
Yeah.
It's like they took that skit YouTube video and put it in the middle of the movie, but the characters who are involved in that scene aren't characterized to act that way. This is not a line this character would say.
And not even characterizing. It's like it logically doesn't follow based on the events that they have experienced. It's only a joke that makes sense if it's a sequel to the game, not to the movie.
Yes.
Anyway, so there's stuff like that, which is a big issue.
The trailer showed too much.
It showed
not Scott's
everything.
fault.
Not Scott's fault. Or even Emma Tammy's or whoever's fault.
We could, before the movie came out, you and I talked and were like, where is this shot from the trailer going to take place? It's going to be here, it's going to be here, this is going to lead to this, this is going to lead to this. And we sort of plotted the movie out, and we're like, this is Act 1, this is Act 2. It's very interesting that they haven't shown anything from Act 3. There is no Act 3.
Everything that is in the movie is in the trailer. I think we went through it, and when I was watching it, there wasn't a single scene which was in some way relevant to the plot, or in some way even that is exciting to see. Maybe there was some dialogue scenes or small scenes that were not in the trailer, but every big scene that involves the main characters and the animatronics is in some way showed in the trailers.
It's represented. There's a shot from every sequence in the movie in the trailers.
And actually, to the point where I don't think there was a single shot of the animatronics that I wasn't expecting. Every time I saw the setup of the room they were in and the angles they were using, I went, oh, well, this is where that shot from the trailer is going to come in. Up until the very last scene of the movie. The very last scene of the movie.
Let's I don't want to give away anything.
No, I'm not giving anything away. I'm just saying, if you've seen the trailer, you know what the whole movie is. There's nothing to surprise.
This is not spoilery. It's not spoilery. If you've seen the trailer, you know that Mangle is on Vanessa's car. So when Vanessa gets in the car, you know the next 4 minutes of the movie are Mangle on Vanessa's car. So in the movie, when Vanessa's driving and there's a weird sound, she's like, what is that? And the camera pans to the side, you know that what's about to happen is Mangle's going to smash in the window, because that's what happens in the trailer.
Or
repeat that for the entire movie. The scene starts, you see where they are, you say, I've seen the jump scare from the scene already in the trailer. You just wait for it to happen.
Mike falls in the water in the river ride. You're waiting for the propeller to pop up out of the water. The balloon boy.
Because it's in the trailer.
You're in the house. You're waiting for Toy Bonnie to show up and pull the knife sharpener out of the thing. It's sad because, and again, this is not Scott's fault. This is, I don't know if it's Blumhouse or it's whoever.
Movie studios usually don't cut their own trailers. There are trailer houses where you send them footage and you say, make an interesting trailer out of this, and they do it. And usually the producer of the movie will have the final say over whether or not, that's good enough, we can release that, it's not too spoilery. So not Scott's fault. Scott could have made this movie and then been extremely upset that so many things were shown in the trailer. So not his fault, but it definitely damages the movie for us to know when Mike is walking next to the river, we're like, this is the scene where he is going to somehow end up in the water, and the scene where we're going to see Balloon Boy. So that whole 3-minute section of the movie is spoiled because we wanted to see the Balloon Boy in the trailer.
And because actually this is the thing that I think is impacting even my base level enjoyment of, oh, well, it is kind of cool to see Balloon Boy do a scary thing, is because I've seen it already. I've already had that reaction. So in the movie, I'm almost, when the first time we watched it, I was waiting for the new stuff to start. I was kind of like, geez, we're still going through all the trailer stuff. There must be a lot at the end that we haven't seen yet. And then it kept going, and then it was the Vanessa in the car scene, and I'm going, okay, so I've seen the Mangle part. I know it's going to drop its head down and then smash through the window, blah, 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 blah. I know all that's going to happen. When am I going to get to something that I haven't seen yet? There is one character that you don't really see a lot of in the trailers. I don't like what it wasn't showing in the trailers anyway. But even that, it was only a couple of shots in a couple of scenes. So when we got to the end of the movie, and I went, oh no, the movie's over.
I literally said that to T-Dreads. I said, it better not cut to credits. And then it cut to credits, and I said, where's the end of the movie?
It was over, and I was like, I had this feeling of, oh no, there was maybe 3 or 4 things, like shots or individual elements, which I was not aware of going into this movie, which either didn't excite me on their own enough to justify their existence, or they were so little in terms of the vast scope of the movie that they were little bright spots in a 1.5 hour runtime that I would go, oh my God, something new. And then I'd be sitting there for another 25 minutes waiting for something new to happen.
This movie had 2 jokes, and neither of those jokes were in the trailers. Thus, those were bright spots in the movie, because I was able to say I enjoyed that thing. There were 2 jokes.
No.
Okay.
There were 2 jokes there were stuff that you laughed
both
at.
times.
There's a lot more jokes that maybe didn't land as hard.
Yes.
I think there was a lot of jokes in the movie, and I found this to be the same with the first one.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, maybe my humor doesn't line up with all of the same stuff. There's a lot of the kind of jokes that are in, not like Marvel movies necessarily, but like general appeal films that everyone in the theater goes, mm-hmm. Because it's like humorous.
Yes.
It's not a joke.
That was unexpected.
Yeah, it's not even like a setup and a punchline. It's usually like an observational thing, mm-hmm. or like a behavior or performance thing. There were some good editing jokes that were like jokes being based on the edit, which was cool. Mm. Few and far between.
Yep. So I think that, again, I wrote some notes down on here.
Yeah.
No spoilers.
No spoilers.
Period. We're trying really, really hard, and so far we've been good.
We've been good.
We spent a lot of time criticizing the writing of the movie when we talked about it for 5 hours. And I think that can come down to 2 different kinds of writing. So I'd say one is the scene character dialogue writing.
Yeah.
And so I have an example here, and because I don't want to give away spoilers, I'm going to kind of read what I wrote. It seems like there is stock dialogue. Mm-hmm. So there's a scene where 2 characters are talking. And you can break down the scene into having character A go, I am disappointed. And character B goes, I am sad. I am frustrated now. I am defensive now. I am angry now. I am angry now. And then that's the end of the conversation.
Yeah.
And so that's what you need to get across through the words that the characters say to each other. Literally just the emotion of the back and forth.
Yeah.
Scott wrote the scene and gave them dialogue that is only slightly more complex than what I just said. I'm frustrated, I'm sad, I'm disappointed, I'm angry, I'm angry, I'm angry.
Yeah.
Instead of using this as an opportunity to characterize the characters via their word choice, via the things that they're particularly complaining about, versus the way that they're being defensive, versus telling us more about the time gap between the movies, versus setting things up in the future so that the next time these characters talk, this conversation mattered. Mm-hmm. Instead of doing anything that a movie can do with the dialogue and being what we would call tightly written, it is literally just stating their emotions back and forth to each other, and then the scene ends.
There is no subtext.
There's no subtext.
Which is a very important thing in writing. If you're not aware of what subtext actually means in terms of applying it to script writing, mm-hmm. Subtext is when characters say one thing, but there's an underlying layer of meaning beneath that. So they might say, like the line, I remember because I used to do acting classes mm-hmm. back in the day, and subtext is an interesting thing for actors to learn about as well, because they can infuse meaning into lines that may not even have that mm-hmm. intended in the script. So like, for example, you can have the line, I love you, but it can be stated in such a way, if the context allows, that I love you actually means I hate you, or I love you means I wish I didn't know you, or, there can be so many different meanings around a certain phrase or a sentence, and it didn't feel like there were many scenes or any scenes in this movie where a character was saying more than what was actually being vocalized. Every character said exactly what they were thinking out loud to another character.
I wouldn't say that the writing was even good enough to give us an insight into the character's brain. I don't think in this movie, this is one of my biggest complaints, I don't think Vanessa, Abby, and Mike were human beings. They were Josh, Elizabeth, and Piper reading words to advance the plot.
Yeah. I think Vanessa was for 5 minutes.
Yes.
In her second scene.
Someone on Twitter asked kind of what I didn't like about the movie. And I feel like a lot of people will see Toy Chica animatronic I like. Whereas I'm, as someone who really liked the first movie, I liked the human characters. And because I liked the human characters, I really valued checking in on them after 2 years.
Mhm.
I want to see my friends Mike, Abby, and Vanessa again. The first act of the movie has 2 scenes in which these characters talk to each other as people, and then we don't get that for the entire rest of the movie. And so I was very disappointed that what I was watching was Josh Hutcherson playing FNAF 2, where he puts on the Freddy mask that we see in the trailer, and Wither Chica, screams at him when he's wearing the mask. That's in the trailer. I'm watching Josh Hutcherson play FNAF 2 as opposed to watching the ongoing story of Mike, who has to be a surrogate father to his younger sister, Abby. That's what I signed up for. We didn't get that. I'm very disappointed.
There was a lack of... I'm trying to check myself before I say this. There was a lack of any sort of central theme.
Mm-hmm.
The first one, I had issues with the first movie.
Mm-hmm.
One of the issues I had with the first movie was that the entire movie did not have to be a Five Nights at Freddy's movie, because all the Five Nights at Freddy's elements were disconnected from any of the growth of it. Like the characters you're talking about.
One of the things I liked about the movie is you could take the name Five Nights at Freddy's off of it, scrub the identities off the characters, and I still think it is a compelling movie about characters I enjoy watching.
I agree. I agree that you were right about that. But my issue is that when you're making a Five Nights at Freddy's movie, the missing children and William Afton and the world should be important to the story you're telling. Yeah. Like you should build your script off of the source material, and I don't mean that in that we had Toy Chica do a thing or
Mike. Canonically, he literally spent 5 nights at Freddy's location, and there was the monitor.
Yeah.
So that's good enough.
But the missing children should be tied into the theme of the movie. They should be relevant to the story and their loss of identity or something. It doesn't matter what you make it, but pick something about the world and tie it in. This movie didn't even have that. If you took Five Nights at Freddy's out of this movie, there is, and not in the way that I want it, but there is no movie because it's all plot driven. The characters don't have any sort of growth to go through. The first movie, Mike is dealing with trying to be a surrogate father to Abby. He's dealing with his own trauma. He's trying to get over his brother's death. He's trying to figure out what happened. He's worried about blah, 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 blah. And yet, in this movie, I don't actually know what they were doing. They were trying to survive, basically.
Yeah.
The whole plot is them being like, oh, no, something new happened. I have to survive the movie now.
Yep.
And then they just go from location to location, surviving or learning new exposition about whatever's going on.
To help them survive in the next scene.
And that includes every character, including the villains.
Mm.
And there's the villains or the antagonists' motivations are not thematically tied into anything. It's just that is their motivation. And so that's what's happening.
The movie spends a lot of time setting up a premise. And then, and this is why I kind of said there's no third act. We set up the premise and the characters' motivations and kind of what they want. Mm-hmm. Noisy action scene happens. Mm-hmm. The end.
Yeah.
There's no, and therefore this means this. There's no, this is where the characters were. Something happened that changed them. This is where they ended up. So what we're doing is making art, is commenting on what it meant for these events to happen.
Yeah.
Because there's no resolution, because nothing happens, it's saying nothing.
Every single character, including Vanessa, no spoilers, but including Vanessa.
No spoilers because we see this in the trailers. We see in the trailers she's having a dream of herself as a child.
Yeah.
Right? So we know that is the thing that's going to happen.
That's the thing that's going to happen, but including Vanessa, whose conflict is resolved within one scene, basically.
Yep.
Including Vanessa, nothing about any of the characters changes from the beginning of the film to the end of the film.
Yep.
They all just had an experience and nothing about them is different.
From the middle of the last film to the end of this film, nothing changes about them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Abby doesn't learn about to be more careful or to make friends or to blah, blah, blah.
Or to even be more independent.
Yeah.
She's grown up, she's a teenager. I mean, she's 11.
Yeah.
But you sort of see her as older because Piper Rubio's 14.
Yeah.
One of the things that we were kind of bouncing off each other was we don't see a cliche movie might have Mike going, my surrogate daughter is growing up and being more independent. So I need to decide, am I the parent that allows them to make mistakes for themselves, or am I the parent that's going to put his foot down? And then another adult has to be like, when you were that age, you blah, 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 blah. That is the kind of, I called it Hallmark movie, schlop writing that you expect in this kind of movie.
Yeah, it's like
and it doesn't even do that.
Yeah,
it does nothing.
Yeah, there isn't. I think it's interesting when we look at the idea of Scott Cawthon, who at the very core of it is a video game creator, who in all of his games has had a central mute protagonist experiencing a repetitive set of events, and the goal of the games is to survive, right? Like they will have like Secret of the Mimic is the exception. Well, no, it's not, because Arnold isn't a character. Arnold is the camera. Arnold's the cameraman. He doesn't go through a change or an experience that evolves him.
Only I mean, I have an entire video about Arnold's arc in Secret of the Mimic, and it literally comes down to we as the player make a decision at the end of the game based on what we, if we're role-playing as Arnold, believe we have learned. Arnold does nothing. We make Arnold's choice for him.
But I also don't really feel like when I was making that choice, I wasn't making a choice on behalf of Arnold. No. I was just like, would I give them the data divert, or would I not want to?
You need to bring yourself into the game. It does not.
Yeah, which is fine when you're making a game where you don't have he's not technically a silent protagonist, but we have a protagonist who doesn't have much of a personality beyond the fact that they are the main character. But it's interesting when you think that Scott Cawthon, who creates video games with these kind of protagonists, and in this series specifically, that maybe that kind of seeped through into writing this film, where he was looking at it from the point of view of that's what happens in the game's stories, is character enters situation, character goes through trials and tribulations, character exits situation, and now we can talk about theories about each character. In the games, there's all these theories about Michael going through evolution and going through character growth and blah 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 blah, blah, and how he changes over the years. None of that is in the overt text.
I mean,
that's all subtext.
One of my favorite things, it's kind of like a mic drop moment, pun not intended, in my 8-hour video where I'm like, Mike has 2 character traits, and one of them is watching television. And then he, gets crying child bit, and then he goes on, he's the security guard, he's kind of going through his redemption arc. And the thing he has to do in the security offices is watch screens. So he likes TV, and then now he's forced karmically to look at TV screens to survive.
Yeah.
That is something.
Yeah.
That's in the text. That is a thing. It's not overt, it's not written in the game. No character ever points this out. This is something that if you do a really, really deep dive, maybe Scott intended it. If he did, that's cool.
Yeah.
That is subtext. That's interesting. That's investigating the text. This movie doesn't have anything. This movie has nothing.
Yeah, there's no actual central theme or driving force to any of the characters' actions other than survival.
Yes. I'm going to keep this vague again.
Yeah.
If you don't feel like you can sort of chime in without
watching
yourself, you don't even need to.
Yeah.
There is a reference to a classical piece of art in the beginning of the movie. And this can mean, I'm not specifying anything. I'm not even specifying painting, right? Classic art can mean like Shakespeare. There's a reference to a classical piece of art in the beginning of the movie that sets up your expectation for the thing that art is referencing. It's setting the expectation for this classical piece of artwork has now been tied to this character. And the movie proceeds to do nothing with this. So if you're watching the movie correctly, looking for subtext, looking for symbolism, you'd say, okay, I've matched this character with this classical piece of art and what that classical piece of art means. And it's not a coincidence. One, it is so not a coincidence because of the direct imagery that is used, and also a line of dialogue that is used pairing with it. It is so overt. It is 100% intended. So then as the character goes on to do more things throughout the movie, you're expecting them to sort of follow through from this symbolism, and it doesn't.
If anything, it contradicts it, and not in a way that you think is on purpose.
Way.
Yes. It's we were talking about it today, and it was something that I noticed when we were watching it the first time, but I didn't necessarily make the connection of what that piece of art symbolizes. I was just like, oh, that looks like that thing.
Yeah.
I didn't think about it beyond that, but the more we spoke about it, I was like, it actually is damaging to the message, or to the characters and to the story. But it feels like it's it's almost like the art snob equivalent of, that's the thing I know. it's the art snob equivalent of,
it's not Toy Chica.
It's not Toy Chica.
That's that thing.
Yeah.
That's a classical piece of art I learned about in my humanities class.
Yeah.
I see it. I recognize it.
Because a lot of people might not even catch that as a reference. I think it's a very famous piece of work.
Very famous.
You would think it maybe kind of looks like that, but I would be very surprised if it was accidental.
It's not.
It can't have been, but unless it was maybe, because we were theorizing, we were speculating that perhaps it was a bunch of different people who weren't communicating with one another, working together to make references without consulting each other about what those references meant. Like, maybe the cinematographer had the idea to do this and thought it would be interesting and didn't think about or communicate with other people. Yeah. And I'm not blaming the cinematographer. I'm just saying, as an example, the props designer.
The guy who pointed the camera could have said, this will look cool, and not have consulted with the writer of the script to see that this is actually contradicting what the movie's trying to say. Yeah,
because that happens sometimes. Like, I've worked on things where you will have a particular look, you as the director, as the writer, as the whatever, will have a particular outlook on something, and somebody else will have a different outlook on that. And you may be planning something, and they will come to you, and you might catch something and say, like, oh, why did you make that creative choice? And they'll go, oh, because it's like this thing, da, 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 da. And you'll be sitting there like, that doesn't make any sense compared to what I would think about. Or, oh, that's cool, but that's not what I was going for. Or we should reconcile what this means now before it becomes an issue and makes it into the final product. So I'm sure that happens all the time. And it's not the biggest deal in the world. It's not like earth-shattering, like, oh, it ruined the movie.
It's symptomatic.
It's symptomatic of the rest of the film. Yeah.
There's, to use a Star Wars example, when Darth Vader when Anakin is burned and then the suit's being put on him and they put him on a table and the table rises up. Yeah. George Lucas was very, very clear. He did not want it to look like the crucifixion pose. He did not want anyone to say, this is Jesus. Yeah. So he staged it specifically, and they actually, when they made the prop, Lucas thought it wasn't good enough, so they fixed it with CGI. He made it look more like Frankenstein rising up on the table. Yeah. He's like, we do not want people to think Jesus, we will make them think Frankenstein. If George Lucas wrote the script, the way that Scott Cawthon wrote the script, and then left, and there's a different director, a different cinematographer, and a different prop designer, and any of those three people said, yo, what if, like, Jesus?
Yeah.
And then designed the prop that way. Chosen one, virgin birth, Jesus. And then designed the prop that way so that it's then the opposite of the scriptwriter's intention. It would create a disharmony between what the story is saying and what you're physically seeing on screen.
Yeah.
That might be what happened here, but even then, I don't know. It still does seem like Scott did this on purpose.
Maybe.
But that would be a problem. That would be a flaw of the filmmaking.
Yeah. We were saying in the script it could be a very non-specific description.
Yes.
And then it could have been the actor, it could have been the director, it could have been the cinematographer, it could have been the prop designer, it could have been, well, the specific thing couldn't necessarily have been that. Yeah. But, like, there are things which could have happened along the way that somebody came up with the idea at some point along the line that wasn't Scott, and Scott either didn't catch it or didn't think through the implications, or it was too late by the time it had made it in. Yeah. And it was just like, okay, well, it's a cool visual thing, I guess.
There was the other kind of writing that we were criticizing beyond the scene writing is the logical follow-through of character actions and decisions throughout the movie leading to further things. So the example you brought up was a panel that the creators of South Park did where they're talking about how they write stories. And what you should do is you should have a scene happen where a character makes a choice, then you write the word therefore, and then the next scene happens. The guys who make Pixar movies also have, Pixar has this like list of things to do when you're writing a script. It's like, step one, it's the normal day. Step two, something happens. Step three, the character changes. Therefore, the next thing happens. Yeah. There's Dan Harmon's famous, story circle. Like every writer has their own sort of way of explaining how they format stories. Yeah. And it's always that the character actions need to lead to the next thing that happens as a logical follow through. Yeah. This movie has some great scenes that I enjoyed watching, like the 7-minute YouTube skit about Josh Hutcherson playing FNAF 2. Horror isn't interesting when you do this in real life, how kind of silly it is.
Yeah.
The scenes themselves, when anything is happening on screen, almost behave like the things that aren't physically on camera at this moment are not happening.
Yeah.
Character motivations do not line up with the things that are sort of physically depicted.
Yeah.
Or if they do, we don't see the logical follow-through of actions. And I think the most symptomatic issue of this happening is we know one character is trying to do something. This character says, I want to do this. I want this outcome. Yeah. They're given the opportunity to do it and do something slightly less optimal instead. And I'm using optimal literally, not the way that teachers would use it. They do something slightly less optimally to sort of get the thing across. It's like, why didn't you just do this? And that's not us saying, the character should have acted out of character to do something that would be more better. It's literally like you almost said you were going to do this thing, but instead you did this other thing. Later in the movie, we see that that character is capable of doing something that, had they done it earlier, could have skipped an entire sequence of events.
Yeah.
The character could have done something. The movie, by having them not do that, is sort of implying that they're physically unable to, and then later they do it.
Yeah, this is actually, on our second watch, it was more egregious because the character actually starts that scene and states out loud their intention to do the thing that they end up doing at the end. They state, I will do this thing, and then they proceed to not do that thing for an entire sequence, and you're supposed to just forget that they said they would do that, and then when they do it and resolve the conflict of the scene, you're supposed to just like not question why they didn't do it earlier.
You're not supposed to rewatch the movie.
Yeah, you're not even supposed to think about the movie after watching it. You're supposed to just be like, okay, now they did that. Okay, now they did this. Okay, now this happened. So that you were talking about the South Park thing. Yep. In between all of your plot beats, you should have the word therefore or however, not the word and then. Because the words and then mean that there is no connective tissue between two events of characters. You know, like a character action should cause like a domino effect, that this person did this, so this next thing happened, so this next thing happened, and you can't separate the character from their actions, or any plot beat in the movie can't just randomly occur for no reason. And there's a lot of that in this movie. There's a lot of, and we always joke about the field. We joke about
there's a lot of, watching the second time, I literally lean over to you and whisper, the field.
Yeah, because it was just like,
because stuff just happened.
Stuff just happened, and not in a way where you're supposed to actually think the Force is involved. Like, you're not supposed to go, because even in Star Wars, the Force isn't like a contrivance for the audience, like for the director to just have stuff happen, and the audience is just not allowed to question it because magic did it. It's like the Force is more of like a metaphysical like state of being, and it's like a way of enlightening yourself. And yes, stuff happens by coincidence or fate or whatever, but it's usually done in like a cosmic scale, or if it's used as like a philosophical commentary on the whole story at large. It's not just an excuse for stuff to happen. And we're not saying that Scott thinks that people will go, it's okay, the field did.
No.
It's just that there is stuff in this movie that is so blatantly random and happening so the movie can continue, that it made us think like, oh, well, there must be some sort of cosmic entity which is driving the plot. And there is one, and his name is Scott Cawthon.
Yes. There must be some reason this happened. Oh, wait, no, there's not. The screenwriter needed it to happen. This happened because God, the screenwriter, made it.
And that happened in, no, I'm not going to say almost every scene.
Every sequence?
That's ridiculous. But every large sequence, there was a moment where something happened because a character, not because a character did anything, but because the author needed it to happen.
There are 3 scenes in this movie in which the scene progresses because a character tripped. There are 3 scenes in the movie where a character tripped and it allows the next thing to happen.
And I think one of the times that they just don't need to, they just trip for no reason.
No, for no reason.
Yeah, so...
And I want to say, I watch a lot of film criticism. We are absolutely looking right in the camera, right in the eye, not saying the thing we're criticizing is, why wasn't character acting perfectly logically and doing the optimal thing for them to do to get the situation done? No. That is not the criticism. The criticism is, if I'm in a room and there's a button right there, and I'm a character in a movie, and I say, I want nothing more. I say this out loud as dialogue. I want nothing more than to press that button.
Yeah.
And then I call T-Dreads and I say, can you come and can you press the button? And T-Dreads says, no, I'm getting Taco Bell right now. And I then call in a terrorist bomb threat to Taco Bell and say, you guys better close down right now.
Yeah.
And then I call T-Dreads back and then he comes. And then he's like, do you want me to push the button? I say, go push the button.
Or you say, no, I'll do it.
And he says no and he leaves. And I'm like, well, I guess I have to get up and push the button.
Yeah. And then you go across the room and have to know, there's nothing that stops you from pushing the button.
And you, the audience, are like, why did I watch this scene that like halfway through cut to Bob the detective who's now trying to trace my call to figure out like who the terrorist is, and I watched this whole movie and it's like, but he could have just pushed the button.
Yeah, he could have just
pushed the button.
Done it. Yeah.
And it's not even out of my character.
It's not even a thing that like, oh, you're so it's like a thing of like sloth.
I'm
like you
characterized.
Yeah, that you
I would never lower myself to push the button.
It's not even that. It's just you want to do it, you could do it, and you don't.
Yeah.
And that happens a lot in this movie.
Yes.
Or character A will randomly stumble into a situation and then event B will occur and it will just resolve whatever was happening and they'll move on, and none of the there's actually a couple of moments where you can, because I've seen it as well. I've acted myself. I've been on set a lot. I've directed people. Like, I'm not being like, I know my things, but as in I have experience working with actors, working with scripts, working in film. I can tell when an actor doesn't know why they are saying or doing something on screen, because actors all, the classic joke is, what's my motivation? Mm-hmm. But that's genuinely an important thing for an actor to know, because they need to understand why they're doing, because an actor doesn't just show up and say, okay, I walk over there and then I talk to this person and then I walk across the room and then I do this. An actor is trying to convince themselves and therefore convince you that what they're doing is a spontaneous action that is occurring for the first time. They have to do it like 8, 9, 10, 20 times in a row because they're shooting the scene over and over again. But every time they shoot it, they have to know why the character is doing this spontaneously. Like it would be as if I just say, like, on your screen right now, it had a script that we were reading. Every word that I'm saying right now is written there. It's not. But if it was,
that'd be impressive.
It would be very impressive. But what I'm saying is, it would be impressive because we would be pretending to be spontaneous, and that each word that's coming out of my mouth would work. But to do that, I'd have to understand what I'm thinking. I couldn't just read it. I'd have to say it in a way that you are convinced I'm coming up with it on the spot.
If you're watching a movie and two characters start to talk over one another.
Yeah.
In this movie actually has that toward the beginning. Two characters are talking, and one of them talks over the other one, and the other one sort of, in a very natural way, keeps talking and finishes their idea and then slowly trails off as the other person takes over their turn to talk. And that is really hard to do on your 12th take. And if you watch a poorly acted movie, you might have a character talking and then they sort of stop because they know that the other person's about to interrupt them.
Yeah, and actually a lot of screenplays will literally have the line and then a dash in the middle of the sentence. And I've actually made that mistake before in my own writing, where I've just given somebody half a script that gets cut off. So usually what I do is I give, even if I don't give the full thought, I'll give most of the thought, tell the actor what the thought is, and then tell the other actor to interrupt them even before they get to that dash. Yep. So that there's still a few lines of being cut off that you can do that. Yep. But there's a lot of scenes in this movie where a character gets into a situation or is having an exchange with another character, and I'm just looking at the actors and I'm like, because I don't know either as an audience member, they're saying or doing something and I can tell the actor doesn't know why they're doing it. And that's not the actor's fault. That's either a writing issue or a directing issue. And you need to be able to communicate to actors. And if you're the director and you can't do that because you don't know what the script says you need to be able to communicate with the writer and be able to ask them why that happens. And if the writer can't answer that question, it needs to change. So there's so many points in the movie where I'm just like, man, nobody in this movie knows what's happening in any given scene.
Yes.
And you can usually tell it in student projects as well, where it's usually like a blocking issue. Blocking is the placement of characters and the camera in relation to the characters. And sometimes it'll happen where two people enter a room and there's some sort of awkward exchange of where they sit or where they choose to sit down or move or whatever. And you can tell that the the actors in the scene don't know why they're sitting there or moving there, and it's very obvious on screen. Like, why are they doing that? What is that about? And that happens a lot in this movie.
Yes, there's we use the example in our 5-hour discussion.
Yeah.
There's a scene where two characters are talking in a conversation, and one of them steps closer to the other character.
Yes.
If you're writing this with purpose, to literally stand up to someone is an intentional body language signifier that that person is gaining confidence mid-sentence.
Mm-hmm.
We think that this character did it so that they'd be in frame.
Yeah, it didn't give this. Yeah, it was like, well,
the camera is here,
or
you need to be close enough to each other.
Or it was like, or it was like when they made it the shot list, they were like, yeah, we have a shot, reverse shot, mid, close up, and there's like a big exchange going on between these two characters because it's like quite a long dialogue exchange, and we need to mix it up a little bit in the middle, so we'll have that person step closer, and so now there's a variation, so we can kind of split the scene into this block of shots, and it won't get boring to watch because it won't be the same.
Yep.
Shot, reverse shot.
Yes, and when you have, because with movies, if you've seen my 36-hour long video about the books, you know that I treat them as serious literature, deep dive into them, and sometimes say, yeah, there's nothing that was intended by doing this, they just did it, or wow, they conveyed so much through subtext by doing this. We could say, when this character literally to this other character, they were conveying something other than the literal meaning of the words they were saying. Mm-hmm. So we deep dive, we investigate into that, we say, is that what's happening? Based on the end of the conversation, no.
Yeah.
Therefore, it was a coincidence, which is not
or
good.
Maybe it was intentional, but then it was let down later in the conversation that they didn't land it to make that all make sense cohesively.
Or the way that the actor was choosing to say their dialogue. Again, if you're stepping up to someone, you're gaining confidence.
Yeah.
The way the actor chose to say their dialogue did not show that they were gaining confidence the moment that they stepped up, and so these two things are in disharmony.
Yes. Yeah. There was an argument between two characters which I took great issue with because one character who we are supposed to empathize with is acting completely irrationally and randomly is taking issue with the other character. Like you said, mm-hmm. I'm annoyed, I'm upset, I'm angry. That kind of exchange was going on. And I as an audience member didn't know why the character was getting upset about this because it was one of those moments in a movie or a TV show where you go, man, if they had a regular conversation about this, it would be cleared up in like 2 seconds. Mm-hmm. So one character was ignoring the other and they were arguing. And I was just like, I know that actor doesn't understand why they're getting annoyed at each other because I don't either. Mm-hmm. I don't know why they're annoyed, but that was the scene. The scene was they needed that to happen so that in the next scene something else could happen.
No spoilers.
No spoilers.
One of the characters says basically like the reason I'm annoyed in this scene is, and they allude to something that's not depicted in the first movie or the second movie.
Yeah,
and it's not. I'm annoyed because of what happened on Wednesday. It's I'm annoyed because of literally the line is something to the effect of I'm annoyed because of the stuff that's happening.
Yeah.
The stuff that I'm annoyed because of the stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm watching it like, okay, well the entire plot only happens because the outcome of this conversation is that the characters storm off angry from one another. They only storm off angry because this character's not listening to reason. This character's not listening to reason because they said, I'm so exhausted from the stuff.
Yeah, I think we can say the line because it's not a spoiler.
It's nothing. It's literally nothing.
It's nothing, and it won't give you context until you see if you haven't seen the movie yet. And if you have, then you'll know what we're talking about. Yeah. If you haven't, then this will clue you in when you see the movie. The scene opens, there's two characters talking, and one of them is ignoring the other character. They're trying to give them some piece of information. They're annoyed, so they're ignoring them. And the character says, it's just one thing after another with you. Nothing's happened at that point in the movie. I don't know what they're annoyed about. I don't know why this is the exchange going on. And nothing later in the movie. And this is also, by the way, this is the establishment of the main conflict between these two characters that will continue up until the end of the movie. Yep. So it's important for this to make sense. But there's no establishing thing before. And I'm like, is there a deleted scene? Is there a script page that went missing? Like, I don't know what it is. It's very strange. I feel like we keep obviously having to talk around examples. So maybe a good example would be to use from something else, which I'm sure people won't mind us spoiling, like The Acolyte is a Star Wars show. Sorry if you don't care about Star Wars, but if you don't care about Star Wars, then you won't care about this being spoiled. Yeah. In one of the episodes of The Acolyte, which is a Star Wars show about the Jedi and the Sith fighting each other and the Sith are trying to like kill Jedi. And whatever.
Machinations in order to gain control by doing stuff in the shadows.
There is a character who is an assassin, and at the start of the episode, the assassin uses convinces the little girl to help them get into a secure location, right? So it's weird because they also do something which is like not even necessary to get into the place. Like the little girl is not really part of the plan anyway, but they use the little girl, they get into the secure location, they get into a secure chamber inside the secure location, and they kill their target. They successfully, or they confront their target, regardless. Yes. At the end of the scene, the guards of the secure location run into the room, and the assassin, instead of having to figure out a way to fight the guards or to hide in the room or whatever, how are they going to get back out? They jump through the skylight, which means there is a skylight to the room that they needed to get to from the very beginning, which means there was no need for the little girl in the beginning to blah, 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 blah. And I was watching this and I went, why is the little girl involved at all? Just go through the skylight. There's literally a hole in the roof that you can drop down and kill the person. But the reason that it exists this way is because later in the episode, the little girl provides the main character's information about the assassin to our protagonists, which then lets the plot continue. Yep. So at some point they went, we need the main characters to find out about the assassin. How do we do that? Okay, well, maybe we'll invent a little girl character who can tell the characters information. But also then they didn't work backwards enough to go, well, then the assassin doesn't really need the little girl because they went through the skylight, so we should change that. Just they went, it doesn't matter. No one will think about it.
No one will think retroactively. No one will rewatch it.
No one will rewatch it. And that's a huge problem with this one because there's so many things where there are twists and turns that the first time you're watching, you might be lured into the mystery and you're kind of going, oh, it could be this or it could be that. And then when it's revealed, eventually you go, oh, okay, so this is what we're doing now. And the movie is moving at a clip to get you to the next scene and the next plot beat and whatever. So you don't really think about it. But if you rewatch it, or if you think critically about it in the moment, you will realize, wait, that doesn't make sense because of what happened before this. Part of the subterfuge, which is tricking the audience, also makes the actual like in-universe logic of what's happening not make sense.
Yes.
Because characters are acting in a way which tricks the audience but doesn't align with either the information they have access to or the behavior they display later. Yep. It's purely to trick the audience.
Yes. Let's imagine a scenario in which there's a character who is trying to, I'm trying to trick you. I call you on the phone and I say, hey, let's go to Taco Bell. And you say, okay.
Not sponsored.
And you and you drive to Taco Bell, and I'm sitting here like, haha, that fool. I'm actually going to Pizza Hut.
Yeah.
And you get to Taco Bell, and I'm there. And it turns out that I was T-Dreads in disguise, because T-Dreads wanted you to go to Taco Bell.
Yes.
And you say, oh, it's good to see you. Like, we're here together, but this is where we agreed to meet up. And it's never addressed why the real Gibby is at Taco Bell at the exact time that you two had agreed to meet up.
Yeah.
That you and Fake Gibby had agreed to meet up. I just happened to also be there at the same time.
Yeah.
And when you come over and you sit down and you say, hey, it's glad you made it. It's a good thing to see you here. I'm glad this plan is working out. I never questioned, like, what plan? It's like, to me, I just came here on my lunch break and I needed to Taco Bell, and then my friend walked in. But because the audience
was tricked thinking it was you.
The not main character, also has to behave as if I'm in on the writer's scheme.
Yeah.
And this makes absolutely no sense.
Yeah. Yeah. It's difficult to talk about without in-universe examples, but there's
Taco Bell is not Freddy's. Again,
no. We're not literally doing
something from this series. That was not, if you read between the lines, I'm talking about.
I'm Vanessa.
You're Edwin. You're Edwin and Taco Bell is Freddy's. Literally, that's not what I'm
talking about. No, what we're talking about. No, but you're right in that the characters seem to be in on the plot, even though they don't have access to all the information.
Yes.
It's weird, and that happens a good amount, and especially on one extra viewing, you immediately go, that person doesn't know that.
Yeah.
Why are they acting that way? The person that they're pretending to be knows that, but they don't know it. So how do they have access to that information? And again, it makes you go, ghost magic? The field? Yeah. I don't know.
There's like three times in the movie where it's like, the only way this happened is ghost magic.
Yeah. Which was a big
So I guess
criticism I had
Ghost
for the
Magic works that way,
first movie as well. It's like,
all right, my microphone turned off. I'm assuming it switched over to my phone microphone,
Okay.
but we could also just be completely muted right now, which would suck.
do
Also,
you want to stop it and listen to it?
we can just wrap up because I also don't want to go above an hour because
Okay.
we are uploading this unedited.
Yeah.
Okay. The props were fantastic. The animatronics were fantastic. The set design was fantastic. The acting was good. I've seen people call Piper Rubio a bad child actor. They're stupid. I think they don't get that Abby is supposed to be like socially maladjusted.
Yeah.
She is supposed to be, I have no friends, I talk to ghosts.
Yes.
So if they see her making weird sentences or saying odd things a child wouldn't say, that's bad acting. No. That's the character. Piper Rubio's amazing. Mm-hmm. I feel like Josh Hutcherson is a very good actor. I think he kind of walked through the movie just saying his lines.
But that's because he didn't have anything to do.
His character didn't have anything to do.
Yeah.
Vanessa Elizabeth Lale was phenomenal.
Yeah, she was really good.
Okay, we know that William's in the movie from the trailers. Matthew Lillard scenes are incredible. McKenna Grace, who I've never seen in anything, but I know that she's popular. She's on like TV shows or something.
She's great.
She's phenomenal.
Really, really good.
And there's another character in the movie who I loved the performance. I think the most entertaining performance of the movie. You might disagree. You might think it's too hokey.
I'm trying to think of who you're.
Yes,
that
guy.
guy.
I love that.
You know what? I don't blame them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't blame that actor
Yep.
because I think again that's like a tonal thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's not that actor's fault that it ended up that way.
Well,
they did a great job at what they were doing.
They overacted. They felt like they were coming from a different movie.
Yes.
Every other character was talking like a human being, and this character talked like you're watching a PG-13 horror movie.
There are two characters like that in this movie.
Yes.
Both of them did a great job at what they were doing.
Yes.
Both of them are like that.
No.
Both of them feel out of place.
Yes.
But both of them are doing what I assume they were asked to do. And given the lines that they say, they are doing what they're supposed to do.
It's like no human being would ever do that, and every other character's acting like a human being.
Yeah.
But you're really entertaining.
Yeah.
So many of the reviews we saw before we watched the movie said the movie is too complex, the movie is too complicated, you need to be a fan of the series to understand it. So we kind of went in with all these expectations about and then William will explain Remnant.
Yeah, and they're going to be confused, or the spirits are going to go between blah, blah, blah.
The field and the flip side. And Fiona Murray.
It's super
the movie's not
straightforward.
confusing.
It's super straightforward.
I think that there are holes in the plot, which we've been talking about.
Yeah.
And if you don't know the games, you assume those holes are filled in with the understanding of the franchise's lore.
Yeah.
You watch the movie and you go, why did Abby do that? That must be explained in the video game.
Mm-hmm.
And we who know the games and know that Abby's not a character in the video games go, no, the movie's just bad.
Yeah. Like, you used the example, it was a good example because it's an experience that I share. I think your mom watching Andor.
Yeah.
And I said the exact same thing to my mom because she was watching Andor and she got 15 minutes in and was like, I don't know what's happening. And she turned it off and I asked her oh, did you watch Andor? And she was like, yeah, they just kept saying a bunch of names of stuff that I didn't really know. And I guess it's probably from the books or it's from the whatever. And Andor's great, by the way. I'm not comparing this to Andor in terms of the writing, but she assumed because there were things being said that she didn't understand that was a reference to something
that you're supposed to understand.
And I don't think that's inherently a criticism. I think something can have elements which are not being explained, like in Andor, where it's just world building or whatever. Yeah. In the case of this movie, though, there are issues which I think you're right were being attributed to misunderstanding the lore, but it's not a complicated movie. It's very much character A goes to here, then character B. Convoluted is not the word I would use. Contrived is a word I would use. But all the words, they were confusing, convoluted, or not. Complex. I'm no. It's really not. It's very straightforward.
All right, super wrapping it up. There's no spoilers in this video, and there haven't been. We've been very successful. Good stuff. There will be spoilers in the comments. So if you still haven't seen the movie, don't look at the comments, because other people will spoil and say their thoughts, because I want you to leave your thoughts below once you've seen the movie about what we're talking about. So don't look at the comments if you haven't seen the movie. People said, this movie's scarier than the first. Scott listened to feedback. It's very scary. No, it might be scarier than the first, but I've seen scarier PG-13 horror movies.
It's scarier in that there is one particular character who gets the same kind of scariness 2 or 3 times.
Yep.
And you kind of go, ugh.
Yep.
And that's
Yep.
like it has. I think to me, it's as scary as the first one. It's maybe trying to be scarier. It's attempting at being scarier, but there was like 2 or 3 times that I kind of went like, ooh.
Yeah.
You know?
No, I was not jump scared.
Yeah, there's a lot of jump scares.
Yes, but I was not startled by the thing jumping at the screen and screaming.
Most of them are either in the trailer,
Yeah.
or they're very juvenile, or
Yes.
or they're actually fake out jump scares.
Yes. I've seen people call this the ending of the movie. Not spoiler. It almost feels like the end of an episode of Stranger Things, where this is not the finale, so the story doesn't have any sort of natural climax.
Yeah.
And they specify Stranger Things because a normal TV show, if I just said it feels like the ending of a TV show episode, it's almost like, oh, it's a cliffhanger, so you have to come back and watch next week. Stranger Things, because they released it all in one block, the thing at the end is just a scene that seems to split off the idea they're talking about, because the next episode will start with the next scene and you just go to it immediately after Netflix says skip in 5 seconds.
Yeah.
This seems like it's just a scene that ends, and the scene that ends is also the end of the movie.
Yeah, it's like there's like another 30 minutes at the end that's like been chopped off, or
that's just next episode,
or it's like maybe it'll be when FNAF 3 comes out that it'll be, FNAF 2 ends, and then FNAF 3 you pick up right where you left off with 2, and it's actually supposed to be watched as one big block, but I don't think you can justify that.
You know in The Force Awakens, when the movie ends with Rey finds Luke and then hands him the lightsaber, and then the movie just ends?
Yeah.
I think if the movie had ended 2 minutes earlier, when Rey gets in the Falcon with Chewie, and she's like, we're gonna go find Luke, punch it, Chewie, and they jump to lightspeed and it cuts to credits.
Yeah.
That's the end of a movie.
Yeah.
Going on for 2 additional minutes where she walks up some stairs, sees Luke, and then hands him the lightsaber, and then it cuts, is almost like, and this is the first scene of the next movie to tie them closer together, and then we literally do see that as the first scene of the next movie.
Yeah. Like in The Force Awakens, it could have been a post-credit scene. That bit of going to see Luke could have been the post-credit scene.
Yeah.
This movie, it's like there's not an ending, and then there is also a post-credit scene.
Yes.
There is a post-credit scene.
Yes.
And there's a thing at the very end of the credits. We won't talk about it though.
The first one, what is it?
Come find me.
Stay for the end of the credits.
I guess.
Very last thing I'll say. I am personally worried that people will use the movie to solve the games. There are specified details in the movie, the same way that there were in the first one, that if you apply them to the games are an answer to questions we still have. I do not think you can use the movie to solve the games.
There are 2 things that come to mind, which are like, what is this thing, or when did this happen, kind of questions that feel like, oh, this is an answer you could give.
Yep.
I don't think it's any way definitive that you can say, yeah, that's definitely the answer, because none of the answers fit cleanly.
No.
All of the answers that are given, they have contradictions to other material, or they don't make perfect sense. Or if you are taking them, you can't take them cleanly. You have to kind of like take them and then sand off the edges a little bit and like cut off a little piece, and then you're like, okay, it's kind of a good enough jigsaw piece. And it's like, because Scott wrote it, people are assuming that, well, if he said it, even if it doesn't make a lot of sense,
he's clarifying.
He's clarifying, which I don't think so.
No.
Maybe a little bit, but more in the way of like, oh, maybe have another look at this thing.
I don't think it's be, but it kind of goes to my opinion of Tales. This could be clarifying something, but this other detail is explicitly not what happens in the game, so how are we supposed to know the difference?
Yeah. How do we
Therefore,
say
we
this one
shouldn't
is
use it at all.
Yeah. I don't think there's any crazy lore.
No. But when Daco and John and all those people saw the movie, they're like, there's a lot of lore in this movie.
Yeah,
there's no lore in this movie.
I really didn't see
There's
any
absolutely
lore
no details for the games in this movie.
This is the other weird thing that we were talking about earlier about, like, oh my god, it's the thing I know. Even on that level, I really don't know what people are so freaking excited about.
No.
Like, oh my god, this is for the fans. I'm like, there's probably 3 things in this that I went, oh, that's pretty cool they put that in here.
Yep.
And all the rest of it is anything that would be in a FNAF 2 movie.
Yes.
There's nothing so insane, bar one thing that blew my mind, and I was like, I can't even believe they referenced that. It was just like, everything was pretty much what you would expect to be in the FNAF 2 movie, or at least definitely would you expect to be in this movie if you saw the trailers.
Yes. Upon watching it the second time, we noticed something that was a dead giveaway of a reshoot.
Oh, yeah.
Like, they reshot this part of the movie, and after we watched it the first time, we're like, these things don't click, this doesn't make any sense, this doesn't line up with the motivations that we had just seen or we'll go on to see. Watching it the second time, we noticed a major change in the set.
Yeah.
Something on set that was there in one shot is not there in the next shot. And we're like, they shot this much later. This was a rewrite, this was a reshoot that was added later on in the movie, and that's why the story is so weird.
Well, it's probably why that part of the story is weird.
But yes. So I'm just saying, we clocked something as being odd. Yeah. And then it definitely was a patch.
And like every movie goes through reshoots nowadays. Like every big blockbuster goes through test screenings, and then they go, "Oh, this thing, blah blah blah, blah. We have to reshoot that, or we have to rewrite that." And so that's fine. We're not saying it's bad that there is reshoots, nor are we saying like, "Oh, because we saw that one thing in the background that's different, that's bad." It's that whatever was reshot wasn't suitable to replace it, or maybe whatever was before it was way worse. But I don't know. It didn't feel cohesive. Whatever.
There's a line of dialogue at one point in the movie and a line of dialogue in another part of the movie that directly contradict each other, and I think that there was a reshoot, and then they didn't go back.
Well,
and change
that's an entirely different part of the movie.
Yep.
Which that whole part, we'll talk about that in spoilers.
All right. When we sat down, I said, "Do you think we can get to 8 minutes and 1 second?" Thank you guys for watching.
Thank you.
Make sure to leave a comment. Remember to be Freddy's. Freddy stands for friendly, respectful engagement, discussion, discourse, yield success. Make sure you like and subscribe to Gibby's Spooky Shack, Gibby's Horror Homestead, and
Unwithered Truth.
Unwithered Truth. Thank you all for watching. Look forward to our 5-hour discussion with T-Dreads that started at midnight and went till 5 in the morning.
Bye.
Once it gets edited, bye.